Cassie reacted to the news of Diddy's verdict coming out, and I don't think it's what she wanted. I don't think it's what her lawyers wanted. I don't think it's what a lot of the public wanted. But Diddy was found guilty on transportation to engage in prostitution, 2 counts of it, which means he's facing 20 years in prison, 10 years, a maximum sentence of 10 years per count. And because of that, everybody obviously wants to know, what does Cassie feel about this? What does Cassie feel about Diddy being sentenced, or not being sentenced, excuse me, being convicted of the transportation to engage in prostitution, but not being convicted of the racketeering and not being convicted of the trafficking, right? And how does one get away from the other? Now, if you don't know, Diddy was facing a life sentence overall. Before all this, before the verdict came out, he was facing a life sentence. The racketeering, he was facing a maximum life sentence in prison. If he was convicted of the trafficking, he would have been facing a mandatory minimum of 15 years. So he would have to do a minimum of 15 years, and then he would have to do a maximum of life in prison. But because he only was convicted of the 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which I do believe, in my opinion, I believe that that's the best scenario for Diddy, because in those 2 counts, he's facing up to 20 years in prison, but it's at the discretion of the judge who will sentence him. So he can get anything. I don't know I wonder what the mandatory minimums are. What's the mandatory minimum for what Diddy was convicted of? That's a good question to ask, right? So I don't think there's a mandatory minimum on the 2 counts of prostitution, of engagement, or transportation for prostitution. So maybe there's no mandatory minimum on that. I don't know. But everybody wants to know, what would Cassie say about this? So she has put a statement out through her lawyer. And I have the statement right now. And the lawyer is actually speaking to Cassie, or speaking to CNN currently. And we have the article right here in front of you. And this is a live update. And this literally is happening right now. So I want to bring it to the channel and make sure that you guys are informed. It says, Cassie Ventura's lawyers speak to CNN. Doug Witter, this is him, I'm assuming, a lawyer for Cassie Ventura, is sitting down with CNN Elizabeth Wagmeister. Now, earlier today, following the verdict of the Sean Diddy Combs trial, Wigder released a statement describing how Cassie Ventura, quote, paved the way for Combs to be convicted of some of the counts against him. Right? By coming forward with her experience, Cassie has left an indelible mark on both the entertainment industry and the fight for justice. Now, obviously, Cassie got that $20 million, I think it was $20 million lawsuit settlement. Plus, obviously, this conviction is a whole nother thing. So maybe her lawyer feels like this is a good job. A lot of people aren't satisfied. Some people really wanted their pound of flesh when it comes to Diddy pause. They wanted Diddy to go to prison for life. It don't seem like he's going to get life. I mean, at 55 years old, though, you get 10, 15 years. That feels like a life sentence. Did he get 10 years right now? He's not coming home till he's 65, 75 years old. If he gets 20, that's a long time, man. And there's no telling health-wise, black men, we age different. But prison does preserve you. But Cassie's lawyer responded on her behalf and said that this is a quote, this entire criminal process started with when our client, Cassie Ventura, had the courage to file her civil complaint in November 2023. Although the jury did not find Combs guilty of sex trafficking, Cassie, beyond a reasonable doubt, she paved the way for a jury to find him guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution, her lawyer said. He continued on by saying, by coming forward with her experience, Cassie has left an indelible mark on both the entertainment industry and the fight for justice. Her lawyer said her exemplary courage throughout this trial, and she explained she had exemplary courage throughout this trial and brought attention to the realities of powerful men in our orbit and the misconduct that has persisted for decades without repercussion. This case proved that change is long overdue, and we will continue to fight on the behalf of the survivors. Right? So that was Cassie's reaction to this. And that's what her lawyer had to say. I think that these people, I I'm curious if Cassie wanted Diddy to do life in prison. I think that just out of fear alone, fear of retaliation, some people wanted Diddy to do life, and I've been covering this whole trial, and we've been seeing what everybody's been saying on this whole thing. So I think that on some level, people just was like, man, I'm scared of him and I just want him to go away. And sometimes it's like that. I do think that Diddy's reputation is harmed. And the Bible would say that you're supposed to guard your reputation with your life. It says to be esteemed is more valuable than silver and gold. A good name is worth more than great riches. So I think that Diddy's name is completely destroyed. I think that it's going to be really hard for all the people that left him hanging, all the people that didn't want to be around him, all the people that didn't pick up the phone, all the people that, and obviously he got to go do some prison time. Another part of this, also just with that in mind, is we're going to see if the states will pick up his case, because in the R. Kelly situation, we saw when R. Kelly got caught up with the feds, they gave him like 20 or 30 years. And then after that, the state of Illinois picked up another case against R. Kelly because state crimes were committed in the commission of committing federal crimes. And because of that, the state picked up the case and then charged him with a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're going to see in the coming weeks if Diddy's just like, you know what, I might have to do 5 years, I might have to do 10 years, I might have to do 20 years would be his max. But we're going to see if the state goes, if any state goes, now we charging them too. Because unfortunately for Diddy, his crimes were committed up until 2024. They said the day he was arrested for this whole case, they caught him in a hotel about to have a freak off with drugs and guns and stuff like that in the hotel room. And the hotel, I believe that hotel is suing him currently. So he still has an uphill battle. He also has like 70 plus lawsuits that he now has to face now that this trial is over, which a lot of those lawsuits were put on hold waiting for his trial. And I think that he even had a new lawsuit filed today, which there's going to be more lawsuits that come out over time now that all this information is public knowledge. But nothing hurts more than the damage to his reputation. Obviously, doing time in prison hurts. Nothing is going to hurt more than the damage to his reputation, because people are not going to want to be involved in business rooms with him, even if you with the things that he does, or if you're one of those weirdo business dudes that you kind of enjoy, that you don't have no problem with what Diddy did, then you're still going to stay wary of him because he got the feds on him, and you don't want the feds to get on you, right? So because of that, I think that he's going to have a shift in how he handles business. Maybe he does the Russell Simmons and goes to Bali and retires, and we don't see Diddy that much from now on. I don't know if his ego allows that to happen. I don't know that his ego allows that to happen. I think Diddy is going to want to come and put a statement out to the public. I think he's going to try to redeem himself. I think he's a marketing genius. I think he's a master manipulator. And I think that he's gonna find a way to be ingratiated in the public again in some form or fashion, just because that's Diddy. He's Drake called him the ultimate self-promoter, right? And that's just what he's good at. It's a gift. Hopefully, my hope for Diddy, my hope for Puff, is that he finds some humility in Christ, and that he repents and tries to redeem himself for the things that he's done, and seriously changes. I don't know that he's changed in 6 months. But he is going to do some time in prison. I know people are like, he found not guilty. No, he's found guilty. He's found guilty. He's just not about to do life in prison. He didn't get the RICO. They didn't get the RICO. And they didn't get the sex trafficking. I believe that's because of the type of witnesses that they chose. The witnesses were the Jane Doe and Cassie. Y'all was with it until y'all had some type of grievance, is what the jury found, which means y'all wasn't trafficked. So now, it's a whole nother situation, and we'll see how it plays out for Diddy. But I think that this was the best case scenario for him. I think he wasn't going to beat the transportation part. It's just because the prostitutes testified. I think that was an open and shut for the feds. But I don't think that the feds wanted this outcome because so much money, time, and energy was invested in this case. I think they wanted a bigger outcome. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. That was Cassie's response. That's what I believe about this Diddy situation. That's how much time he's looking at. And we'll see what the latest updates are moving forward.